Now, I am trying to find random things on this online. I'm surprised this is getting picked up as much as it did. There was something from the External Affairs Office from the Citadel in the news, and I don't see...
Well, right now, we're in touch with the U.S. News and World Report, the Trenton Times. It's been picked up by wire services.
Yeah, UPI picked it up.
Yep.
We saw that earlier. No, this is what it was. External press. A guy from the Charleston Post-Courier. I was going to get to this later on in the program. So after the guard gives you the escort, you guys continue through campus.
Yep.
No problems after that?
No, contrary to what appears to be the popular belief of many people who are down there, we didn't, burn a flag or go in any monuments or enter any buildings. We just walked on a road. We walked where they told us to go, and we played some songs and we cheered. That's what we're there to do. We're there to be funny and to be enthusiastic and to support our team and show that, hey, we're Princeton. We're excited to be here.
Now, you guys get into the stands.
Yeah.
First part of the game. Now, I'm in the press box. I'm broadcasting the game. And from where I am, it looks like Princeton Band at work as usual.
Yep.
Performing, playing. When the second half, things started getting rough. The crowd got silent, which is usually what happens. When something happens, you get stunned. You don't know how to react. Now, I'm assuming throughout the first half of the game, you guys had no problems, because it certainly seemed that way from my perch in the press box.
I would say compared to the rest of our experience at Citadel, the first half was pretty good, but we did have some cadets come over and steal our hats again. And what I did in response as president was to go over to their side of the stands. And I basically just stood up in front of all the cadets who were there and said, hey, I want our hats back. And I don't know what I was thinking. That was probably pretty stupid. But I got the typical remarks. I do wear a kilt as part of my uniform, so obviously there were some questions about my sexuality that were being thrown around by the cadets. That were pretty inappropriate.
Quotes we can't repeat on radio, which I'm looking at right now.
Yeah,
via the Daily Princetonian website. Yeah, these are pretty harsh words they used.
Yeah. So anyway, I said, hey, we want our hat back, and obviously they didn't, which is what I knew would happen, but I tried it anyway. And then I went to a commanding officer and said, hey, we want our hats back, and he said, I'll get it back for you. And then I went to the police, just because the Charleston police were there, and I figured, why not?
Might as well.
They are stealing our stuff. And suddenly our hats really quickly reappeared when the police went into the stands. And then on the way back to the Princeton side of the stands, a bunch of cadets came up to me and they're like, oh, no, don't go to the police. We're going to get in so much trouble. To which I responded, okay,
so
that doesn't sound like my problem. So that was the first half. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you guys get on the field, you play your halftime show, and a mighty roar went up from the crowd.
No, that's the wrong order. They were booing us before we stepped onto the field. They were chanting "Go home, Princeton," and "Go home," 6-letter derogatory term for homosexual, before we even took the field. So it's one of the funny things. There have been so many allegations about what we said or didn't say in our halftime show, but frankly, I didn't hear any of it, and I don't think anyone heard any of it. They were booing pretty loudly for 9 minutes.
I heard someone ask another band member today, was it so loud that you guys were drowned out, or could you still hear?
I couldn't hear myself. It was the most enthusiastically booing crowd I've ever seen, and I've seen some enthusiastically booing crowds at away games. When we made fun of Columbia for having ED, they were booing us there. But the cadets, I think they set it to a new level.
Yeah, I'm gonna have that picture in my head all night, but that's a whole other story. Now, you guys do the halftime show.
Yeah,
you go back to the stands.
Well, there are some incidents during the halftime show.
Okay, please go ahead, explain.
Well, one that I thought, particularly reflected the, discipline that we all hope for from our men and women in uniform was when a cadet was beating on the glass of where our announcer was during the show, shouting, "I'm going to kill your family," which was a little disturbing. And if you go onto YouTube and Google and search Citadel Princeton halftime show, you can see a video taken by the Citadel cadet, in which you can hear Citadel cadets saying, "I'm going to go down on the field and beat them," to which someone else responds, "Yeah, okay, everyone will turn a blind eye." So there were definitely some disturbing things that were happening during the halftime show, just with respect to threatening comments that were being made towards us.
And this is all during the halftime show?
Yeah.
Wow. Again, from from the little bit we'd heard before this segment, it seemed like most of everything happened before the game and during the second half.
Well, I think the worst stuff happened at those times, and certainly the halftime show wasn't the provocation for what happened. They were angry at us before we went onto the field. So, and the halftime show we delivered was pretty tame by our standards.
Yeah. Now, just as a quick note for our listeners, if you have any questions for Alex, you can shoot us a question, requests@WPRB.com. Again, that's requests with an S at the end, requests@WPRB.com. Or you can shoot us an instant messenger via AOL Instant Messenger, the handle WPRBDJ. Now, let's get back to the story, and second half begins, and it pretty much goes even further downhill from there, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going downhill for Princeton football at that time, which is the hardest part.
We talked about that already. Let's skip the football part.
So midway through the second half, a group of cadets comes over to our side of the stands and surrounds the band. You have to realize we're talking about, some pretty muscled, strong, tough guy-looking cadets, and the band is, like the 40 nerdiest kids at Princeton. So this is a pretty intimidating situation. We're encircled by cadets who are screaming at us, and my immediate thought was, oh my God, I don't want someone to provoke this further. So I got the band whipped up shouting, "Let's go Princeton," just doing something positive.
Right.
But the cadets, they're not going away, and they're so menacing and intimidating that one band member starts crying, other people are just looking very, very distressed. And finally, the police and some Citadel officers come and have to push the guys away from us, have to clear out the stands. But it certainly took them a while, even with a commanding officer, a lieutenant colonel, trying to get these guys out of our faces. They were still there screaming at us for a couple of minutes. And, it was a little bit scary.
Now, how'd you guys manage to get out of the stadium? Though it might sound like a stupid question, it seems like you would have needed some kind of escort to get out.
We waited for everyone to leave. We waited for all the cadets to get out of the stadium, and even when we did leave, remember to go to the bathroom before we got on the bus, we had an officer escorting every single person. I made sure of that just because I felt, that the cadets were just very unpredictable. Like the officers we had talked to had been wonderful, and yet it didn't seem like the cadets were under control at all.
Okay. Now, obviously, all 40 of you made it back to Princeton.
43, yeah.
43. Now, let's set the record straight on a few things. There are a lot of stories about what happened and what didn't happen. One story, somebody's instrument got broken.
True. Ben Elias, class of 05, he's an alumni who, for whatever reason, still thinks that we're cool and hangs out with us. He was part of the band, and he got shoved from behind and fell down and broke his clarinet, which they mocked us about for the rest of the day. But I think we get the last laugh since I've been assured that they're going to buy us a new one.
Right. Now, we have that. The other story that I wanted to ask about, because this one was circulating around the press box. Someone had to pull a cadet off a band member because said cadet was choking the band member.
I didn't see it. And, there were a lot of things happening when there was that scramble when we were marching through campus. I can't say that happened. I can't say it would surprise me.